Hey guys, Rominating Reaper here. So it's been pretty warm here these last couple of days, so obviously as an escape from that, I'm about to head into the cinema. I'm about to head in to look up. No, not because I'm sat in the very front row, though seriously, I'm not. No, I'm about to head in to see Superman. Yeah, this is my most anticipated film of the year. The trailers for this have looked absolutely awesome. I am really hoping that this will deliver a banger start for the new DCU. I have got my fingers crossed. But the only way to find out if it'll live up to my high expectations is to head in, get some snacks, and get seated for Superman. Alright, here we go, guys. One last look at the Superman standee. Oh my god. Let's fucking go. This is happening. This is real. So I've got my popcorn here, a blue frozen Fanta, trademark Superman colours, ready for the first film of the new DCU. So yeah, Superman. I am back from seeing it. This is written and directed by James Gunn and is the first film of the new DCU, which Gunn is overseeing with Peter Safran. Now obviously, Superman on screen is not exactly a new commodity. Obviously, the thing that birthed the comic book movie as we know it is the original Richard Donner film with Christopher Reeve. The most recent iteration of the character on the big screen was, of course, Henry Cavill in the Zack Snyder films. Hell, even on the small screen, we had the Superman and Lois TV show, which I haven't seen, but I keep hearing is really, really good. So obviously, yes, I was really excited to see how James Gunn's filmmaking voice would stand apart from all these iterations, especially with his track record for comic book movies. But is this another James Gunn winner? And does it kick off the DCU with a bang? Let's find out. So in the film, Superman intervenes in a conflict between the nations of Boravia and Yoranpur. However, despite the selfless intent of his actions, the United States government doesn't really see it that way, and soon launches a full investigation into his intent, which gives Lex Luthor the opportunity to try and finally get Superman out of the picture once and for all. And so, in a world slowly turning against him, Superman steps up to prove that he can still be the symbol of hope that the people of Earth need. So obviously, when it comes to comic book movies, James Gunn has not missed once. And what's most impressive about that is he's done this for both Marvel and DC. This time around, however, there was a lot more pressure on his shoulders, being that he is spearheading the entire new big screen DC universe. But you know what? Having seen Superman, I can confirm that James Gunn still hasn't missed. Yeah, I absolutely loved this film, and it is a reassuring sign for the future of DC on the big screen. Now, through and through, what really I think makes this work is this is very much a James Gunn film. This isn't some focus tested corporate product. Overseen by committee. This is very much warts and all James Gunn's vision. And yes, there are imperfections in there. My one little niggle I'd say right out of the gate is the opening. It is a lot, and it is certainly necessary to establish this, all new universe where all the key players are already established. But it definitely feels like it's throwing you right into the deep end, almost like you sort of walked into the film from the halfway point. But once it sort of settles down in Metropolis, it really, really hits its stride. because what James Gunn I think really gets is the essence of comic books, because this is so unashamedly like goofy and comic booky. You've got things like pocket universes, kaiju fight, and it is a really entertainingly staged scene. And of course, Crypto, the super dog, who is a highlight of the film, by the way. Very, very funny. And of course, to go with all that wacky spectacle, you've got plenty of James Gunn's trademark humor, particularly in all the scenes with Jimmy Olsen. But the film strikes a perfect balance between the goofier stuff and the sort of ground level moments of humanity, because something that a lot of modern comic book movies miss are the little moments where the hero interacts with civilians. We get scenes where Superman saves civilians. Hell, he saves a squirrel at one point. The film strikes a perfect balance between the goofier stuff and those sincere moments of humanity. Obviously, at the core of it all, we have David Corenswet as the Man of Steel himself, who's been a popular fan cast of the character for a few years now. And yeah, this is proof that sometimes fan casting can work, because he just so brilliantly embodies Superman's selfless drive to do good, but also his sort of moments of human imperfection, balancing that out with sort of the dorky Clark Kent mannerisms. Now, comparatively speaking, there are a lot less Clark scenes than there are Superman scenes, but the moments we get with Clark are incredibly pivotal to his character and the overarching story around him. A particularly lovely highlight are the scenes he shares with his parents, played by Pruitt Taylor Vince and Neva Howell. Just, some real lovely, tender moments. He also has a great dynamic with Lois Lane, played by Rachel Brosnahan. She's very much spiky and, driven by her endless quest for the truth. Yeah, the sort of contrast in Clark and Lois's personalities really makes their relationship so interesting to watch, particularly in an early scene where Lois interviews Superman. It is incredibly gripping stuff to watch. On the flip side of things, we have Nicholas Holt as a Lex Luthor that you just love to hate. Holt so brilliantly embodies Lex's petty jealousy of Superman and how that hatred just drives him. I think a moment that really encapsulates his character is a scene late on in the film where he stands atop the Luthor Corp building, smug as you like, as a grin slowly forms on his face. Yeah, he is a petty little bitch, and Holt plays it so damn well. Now, of course, we also have a big ensemble of other superheroes around Clark. I know there's been a lot of discussion around this sort of risk of it feeling overstuffed, but it's sort of, it strikes the balance of with these characters very well, because very much the focus is Superman. But these characters do get their standout moments. I quite enjoyed the Justice Gang led by Guy Gardner. Nathan Fillion does a really good job of Guy's sort of egotistical, dickish personality. The standout of the bunch is Mr. Terrific. He is so damn cool. Eddie Gathegi plays him so well. I also really loved Metamorpho, played by Anthony Carrigan. Infuses some little moments of tragedy in there. So yeah, I really enjoyed all these characters, but yeah, again, it never feels overstuffed because the focus is Superman, and of course, we get plenty of big visuals for Superman in action. Now, I know much has been made of the visuals online long, long before release, but honestly, it really works really well on the big screen. The color grading feels vibrant in line with its, sort of comic book sensibilities. The visual effects are really, really strong, especially for Crypto and the Kaiju. And there's some real fun dynamic camera work. You can really see just how much Gunn has grown in confidence as a director over the course of his films. It is great, great stuff. And of course, we have a kick ass score from John Murphy and David Fleming, of course, utilizing the original John Williams theme, some sort of new modernized iterations of it that very much solidifies Superman as like the icon that he is. And boy does that shine through the film's final act. Obviously, yes, you get plenty of the big comic book action that you expect from these films, but it also delivers a really strong statement on Superman's humanity and his status as a symbol of hope. And goddamn, I left this with a big old smile on my face. Yeah, I cannot wait to see where the DCU goes from here. Overall, Superman is a yet another winner from James Gunn. It is a film that is unashamedly goofy and comic booky, but also driven by an incredibly sincere sense of humanity. Out of 10, Superman gets a 9. So, let me know down in the comments, have you seen Superman? What did you think of it? What did you make of David Corenswet as Superman? Are you looking forward to seeing where the DCU goes next? And hell, what is your favourite on-screen iteration of the Man of Steel? Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.